Hi guys, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, Craftin' Up a Storm. Today I've got some really great beach themed home decor projects for you. All of them are Dollar Tree items, so they're very inexpensive and they're very easy to do. Hopefully you get inspired to do some summery home projects for your home. Let's get crafting. For this project, I'm using Waverly chalk paint in Pool, Crimson, and Plaster. I have some craft sticks and a popsicle stick and a wood ornament from Dollar Tree. I'm painting 3 of the craft sticks in Plaster, 3 in Pool, and the 2 craft sticks left in Crimson along with a popsicle stick. Once I painted the craft sticks in the Pool, it was just a little too light for me, so I did go over the top of it with a kind of turquoisey, I believe it's Lagoon, acrylic paint. Now I want to age it to look like some old wood, so I'm going to distress it. I used, I believe, either the plaster or ivory chalk paint on the blue and the red, but I used cashew on the white craft sticks because I needed more of a difference between the white. The ivory just was too close to the white color. It didn't distress it enough. I got 2 more craft sticks and I cut them down so that they were the width of 6 of the craft sticks laid side by side. They're going to be my braces for the back. So now I'm going to lay my craft sticks down, face down, alternating between white and blue, white and blue. I'm using another craft stick just to level them out, and I will put my braces on the back. I glued 1 across the bottom close to the edge. The top brace, I don't want to have it too close to the edge. I want to leave some room at the top because I'm going to cut the top to be like a pointed roof shape. I drew that out and then just took some heavy duty snips and cut the top. It didn't come out super even, but it's fine. We're going to use that red popsicle sticks to make a edge to our roof, and so it'll fix it. So I cut the red popsicle sticks down, or the red craft sticks down, and added the popsicle stick to the bottom. Now I want to make a door for the front of our little beach hut. So I'm going to use the leftover ends of the red popsicle or craft sticks, and I just want to cut the rounded part off. I'm not worried about how tall it is, I just want to make sure I cut both sticks even. I snipped those off and then glued everything down. Now I did lose some footage, so you won't see it in the video, but I did take a picture. Once I had my little door glued down, I added a wooden bead for a door knob. And then I had painted that little wooden emblem, and I added that to the top of my little beach hut. And you can kind of see it here. And you'll see it in the end picture. For this project, I had some of the wooden ornaments from Dollar Tree along with some wood glue. I'm going to glue all of the anchors together. I start out by gluing 2 together at a time. Lay down a layer of glue and put the other one on top, make sure it's good and even. and then I clamp it down in several places and let it dry. And then I end up gluing all of the sets of 2 together. I'm using Waverly chalk paint in Ocean. I also glued together a couple of the tumbling tower blocks, and that will be my base for my little anchor statue. I'm painting the edges of the anchors in the Ocean color. It took a couple of coats because this, as you know, the edges are a bit darker. I'm now going in with some Waverly chalk paint in Plaster and a pointed, rounded, kind of thick paintbrush, and I'm making just some polka dots all over my base. I'm not worried about them being perfect. This is the top of the base where the anchor will be glued, so I kind of started there. You won't see most of these, and that way I kind of got a practice of how much pressure I needed for each dot. I'm going to paint the anchor red, so I want to lay down a nice coat of white chalk paint just to have a base primer on it. That way my red will be good and bright, and it will cover up any of the blue that came up over the edge. I painted each side in the white chalk paint, and on one side of my anchor I just coated the whole face of it red. And I'm trying not to let the paint go over the edge and onto the blue. On this side, I put down some washi tape, so I had some stripes, and I will paint this side. It'll be a red and white stripe on the side. I did go over the red with probably 3 coats of the chalk paint. I just wanted to make sure my stripes were good and bright. Now I'm going to take my Sharpie and just decorate around the borders. This little decoration would be perfect to display with some red, white, and blue as well. But I thought these were nice, bright, beachy colors as well too. I did go around the polka dots on my base, and I put my anchor down to see where it was going to touch on my base, and added some good hot glue and glued my anchor down to my base. And it's 2-sided. I can display it either way or have it to where both sides show on a counter. Cute. For this project, I picked up this wood yard stake at Dollar Tree. I did pull the sign off the front and remove the staples. I wanted to put it at a little bit of a tilt when I glued it back on, but it's really not necessary. I painted the back of it, or I painted the front of it with Waverly chalk paint in Pool. I watered it down a little bit so it was more like a wash. I love the texture on the surface of this sign. I wanted it to look old and aged. It's going to be our beach sign. Now I want to make some water. I'm using Ocean to make our ocean. And all of that roughness on the surface just really adds great texture. I did go in and add with the edge of my brush some lines with the blue. It dries and it evens out pretty well, but it does add a little bit of texture. Now I did go back in with some plaster paint. I didn't catch that on film, so I went back and showed you how I did it. Once it dries, it doesn't look so streaky. I'm adding some Mod Podge, a good thick layer to the bottom. I want to add some sand and make a beach at the bottom. So I'm putting a good thick layer of Mod Podge. I did end up later making my beach a little bit wider. You'll see in the video. And then I added some little seashells, some little, tiny little seashells to the corner. But I put down the layer of Mod Podge and then I sprinkled sand over the top of it. And that's going to make our beach. For the bottom of the sign, I added a nice chunky block that I had to the back, but it wasn't very sturdy. So I wanted to add some weight to it. So I put this stone on it and then realized that would be kind of neat to have a bunch of little pebbles all around it, like the sign was buried in like a rock pile. So I got my hot glue out and I put a whole bunch of little pebbles all over the bottom of my sign. I think at one point, I don't think I show it here, but I did, after I put some of the pebbles down, I sprinkled some sand over the top of it so that some of this sand stuck to the hot glue and made it look a little sandy as well. This also added weight to the bottom of my sign to help hold it. I wanted a little sun for my ocean view, and I got 3 different shades of oranges. I believe it's pumpkin, coral, and cantaloupe. I laid down the medium shade, the pumpkin, and dry brushed the cantaloupe and the coral onto it to add some dimension. This was the bottom of, I think it was an Easter egg shape I had cut the bottom off of, so it was just a rounded piece I had. On my Cricut, I printed out "To the Beach." And see, I added some more sand. It looks like 2 different colors, but it's just because one's not dry yet. But there's our little beachy sign. For our little vase, I picked up this pretty bottle at Dollar Tree. Very beachy glass, turquoise color. However, the little decoration charm on it to me looked like a fall leaf. So I'm going to use the wooden starfish. I put a piece of painter's tape around the edge and made sure the tape was good and pushed into the recesses. I added a layer of Waverly chalk paint, plaster to the bottom. I believe I did 2 or 3 coats. I added a coat to our little starfish. and then wrapped some twine around the edge of the vase. I left a long piece to glue the starfish down to. And that was it for our little vase. You can put a flower in it or a little bit of greenery, but really cute and beachy. I picked up one of the wooden fishes at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint it with this Waverly chalk paint in Pool. I don't want it to be real thick though, because I don't want it to get into the crevices. So I'm going to add water to it for more of a wash effect. I just put a little of my chalk paint out in a cup and added water to it to thin it out. I started to paint and then I realized, see on the tail, there's a stamp. I thought maybe it was a little label sticker, but it's not. So before I put my wash down, I did get a sanding block and sand that down a bit, and ended up using a bit of a emery board as well too. Once it was light enough that I knew my paint would cover it up, I put my wash down and I just went over everything. I even went over the top of the eye. I didn't worry about it. After I had coated the entire little fish, I did go back and wipe the paint off of the top of the little bead eye because I wanted it to stay black. But I wasn't worried about trying to avoid it. I wanted to put a pretty design on the side of my fish, so I found a stencil that I thought would make a really great pattern and put it down. I put tape where I didn't want the pattern to come through. I wanted the face to stay solid, so I put tape down over the face, and then I taped down the other side of the stencil at the tail. If I would have thought about it, I would have done a stencil on one side and maybe a different stencil on the other side, but I didn't think about it at the time. I used a large pouncing dauber, and that way I could go straight up and down and none of the paint would ooze around the side of the stencil. You could also use maybe some decal stickers and then cut in between the lines, anything to decorate it, or just draw on the side. Now I have the pattern laid down. I'm going to go in. I did add a few little pieces to the tail that didn't quite come out. But now I'm going to go in with my Sharpie and I'm going to just outline the edges of these blue stripes, just to give it a little extra detail and crisp them up a little bit. I didn't want them to be perfect. I kind of liked the weathered look it gave it. But I just traced around them. Now for some added detail, I'm going to go in and just make some dots and designs and just decorate this little fish whatever I feel like. I will get a little closer to show you a little bit more detail. Just give it a second. Here we go. I'm just adding some dots in between random and wherever I feel like it adds some detail to it, some interest. You can tell at the bottom of this little fish there's a little tiny square, a little block. Oh, I also took two of the tumbling towers to use as a base on this one as well. That little square, I'm going to add some hot glue to it and just glue that down so that my fish still has a little bit of movement. Once I had it glued down, I decided to go back and add even more detail and decoration with one of the Dollar Tree metallic pins in white. And I added some white dots to the blue stripes. Like I said, I may go back and do something different for the other side. That way I have two sides I can display for this fish. But I thought he came out cute and interesting, and you can make it yourself and decorate it how you like. I hope you enjoyed these projects today as much as I enjoyed making them and bringing them to you. If you would like to see more of these type of videos, let me know in the comments. Consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. I'd love to have you as part of the community. Thank you, and as always, keep crafting. Bye-bye.